Resurrection Man number 12, written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, art by Javier Pina. So, last issue left off with Resurrection Man seemingly finally being taken in by the group that the Body Doubles and Hooker all work for. And this issue picks up with Mitch Shelley in Gotham. And he's flying, and he just wakes up here and he doesn't know what's going on, but he's immediately shot down by a GCPD helicopter and dies. And of course comes back, but when he comes back, Batman is immediately there kicking him in the spine, saying, Mitch Shelley, you were an escapee from Arkham. You're coming back with me. And he's like, no, this is a misunderstanding, Batman. That happened like 6 issues ago. And so he uses some magic, whatever powers he's got going on right now, in order to blast Batman away. And Batman's like, well, seems that you've got some new powers. Luckily, I brought backup. And then Aquaman's trident just stabs him through the chest as the rest of the Justice League just watch on. And he's like, Justice League, you guys are the good guys. What's going on? So then we come back out to actual reality, and we see that Mitch is being held in a virtual reality where he's being simulated being killed over and over and over and over again in increasingly brutal ways so that they can figure out what is going on with his power set. So at one point he gets heat vision and it starts blasting out of the thing he's being held into, and it's just like, oh, someone contain the heat vision and analyze what it means. And we cut over to Mr. Roth, the transhuman, who is watching him basically be tortured in this virtual reality. And he's like, you guys, why are you doing this to him? Like, this wasn't part of the deal. And they're like, no, here's what the deal is. He has what's in his blood called tektites, and that's what allows him to have all these powers and whatnot. I have tektites in my body, says Director Hooker, and they allow me to basically be immortal. However, I can't heal, and that's why I look so grotesque all the time. The Body Doubles have tektites, and that's what makes them so strong, but they're not immortal. There is a bunch of things. Like, the only thing that makes Mitch Shelley so important here is that he literally cannot die. And he heals. He has the complete set, and we need to figure out why he has that and get it so that we can basically make that a thing that we can give to, soldiers and whatnot. And yes, it will cure you as well, Transhuman. So at that point, Transhuman is walking away, and he's like, this is wrong. I'm not going to be a part of this. And Hooker calls up the Body Doubles, telling him, hey, keep an eye on him. I think he's going to do something. But Transhuman immediately makes his way over to Kim Rebecca, I think that was her name, yeah, and says, hey, they're messing with Mitch. I had a change of heart. I'm sorry for what I did, but let's go ahead and knock them out. So he steals some tech from around the lab around him and makes a new transhuman armor set, and then it's just like, all right, let's go get our friend back. So we see what Mitch is seeing. He's now battling against Darkseid, and he's turned into this magma sort of form. And Darkseid's literally just bitch slapping him around, just like, you mean nothing to me. And as Darkseid is about to power up his Omega Beams, Transhuman gets in the way, stops the simulation, and yanks Mitch out of it. Everyone else is being held at gunpoint. And Hooker's like, hey, Mitch, we need to test you. This is very important for us to be able to continue our thing. We need to work together like we did before. Do you remember that, Mitch? And Kim, because he's getting too close to Mitch, she shoots a couple shots into Hooker's chest, which again, don't kill him because he's immortal but can't heal. But then at that point, Mitch in his magma form is like, I'm willing to bet if you can't heal, then you do still have a limit. And he basically hugs Hooker more or less, which melts him instantly. And Hooker has finally died, and he's like, oh, thank God. It was not worth living that life if it just meant that amount of pain. So he ended up dying. Some alarms start going off because a major player has just died. And then Transhuman's like, all right, come on, guys. I am a technopath, so I have the map of this place in my brain. As long as I got my head, we're good to... And then his head explodes. Somebody has fired it off of his neck. And we see this giant mech suit step out, and apparently it has the CEO inside, and he's like, all right, well, I'm down here now. Body Doubles, at least try to help me out a little bit. Restrain Miss Rebecca. I'll take care of Mitch Shelley. And Mitch is so pissed off that his friend is dead, and he starts going after the guy in the mech suit, but the mech suit just grabs him because he's already prepared for Mitch's powers. He's ready to deal however he can, So At that point, Mitch is like, "Who are you? Why are you after me? Like, just give me some answers." And the little dome thing opens up, and he's like, "Mitch, I thought you would have figured it out by now. I'm Mitch Shelley. I'm you. Dun, dun, dun." So, yeah, the person who was after Mitch Shelley the most, the guy who was leading the entire company, was Mitch Shelley. Gotta say, not sure where it came from. The only thing I can think is when he got his powers, like, it ended up being like a starfish sort of thing, where if you split him the right way, he'll like come back as two different people. That's literally all I can think of. I genuinely have no idea. It's a twist, I'll give it that. But no, I've been enjoying this book. I gotta say, I was reading this digitally. So I was doing the panel by panel. And when it came to the panel of Daryl's head being blown up, like, I was genuinely shocked. I was like, oh God, what just happened? But when reading it through on the actual print thing, it's just at the bottom of the page. Like, it's not a shock at all. So I'm going to deduct a half point for that, just because it took me by such surprise in reading it digitally, but it turns out that it wasn't actually a surprise at all. That's a little bit of poor layout. If you're going to do that big of a reveal, make it the next page on the page flip. But regardless, I do enjoy this book. I definitely think it is wrapping up very strong here. I don't see a lot of ways they can really fumble the ending at this part, because they've killed a lot of like major characters and made stakes very high. We of course know that Heaven and Hell are both coming to collect any minute now, so I'm pumped. I'm definitely interested in seeing how this wraps up. We are going to wrap it up in the 0 issue, so I guess that simultaneously we're going to be getting his origin as well as the finale. It's going to be interesting to see. So for this particular one, I'm going to give it a 7.5. And mainly the only reason I don't go higher than that is that while it feels like a big sort of wrapping up point, it is still just the stepping stone to the end. Like, it has all of the things that could turn the next issue into like an 8 or a 9, but it within itself is still just a 7. So definitely looking forward to it. I've been enjoying it the entire way through, and I can't wait to see if it sticks the landing.